Hello. Hi. It's been a while since I've been on my channel. So if you are, welcome back to my channel. Or welcome to my channel, actually. This might be your first video of my channel that you're watching. It's been a while, yeah. I didn't feel really motivated or inspired to do anything. And this weekend something happened and I want to talk about it now, so I'm making this video. And as you can see, there has been some changes with the setup and with me. I have this look going on. I'm growing out my hair, but it kind of looks very fuzzy and messy right now. But it's okay. I kind of like it, actually. It's kind of fun to have this hair. And I don't have my elephant here anymore. My elephant is over there. I have another shelf there. And I have Poseidon with me behind my back, supporting me through this journey, I guess. I don't know. Or through this video, maybe. We will see. Yeah, anyways. So, yeah. Today, I want to talk about something quite specific. So, that's why I want you to be patient, because I need to cook. I need to really lay out the details how I got to this thought and how it. Sorry, I have hair on my eye. I want to really lay down how I got to this point and how I got to this thought, because I think it's quite fun. Anyway, so this last weekend, I read a book, which is quite new, but which is quite a new hobby that I really started to love again, because I was quite struggling to read books. Anyways, that's not the point. This is not my personal blog. I'm talking about my thoughts. Anyways, so this last weekend, I was reading this book about dementia. I can't really remember its name, but the book is about how dementia, or especially Alzheimer's disease. Yes, I'm a doctor. I know. I have education on medicine. Anyways, how Alzheimer's disease can affect the caregivers of those patients, and how that can enlighten some facts about the human brain, how the psychology works, how they support the findings and learnings of neuroscience, because it's quite an interesting area. And in my daily practice, in my profession, I see a lot of dementia patients, and I also have to talk with their caregivers. And in those circumstances, it's very obvious that it's not just about one disease and one patient. It's about the collective of that circle of people, because it doesn't take one person to overcome that or really deal with that disorder. And in my practice as well, I see the caregivers struggle quite a lot in their day-to-day lives, and we talk about it a lot. We even talk about it in conferences a lot, because it's quite an important topic. Because this is besides the point, but it's important in the sense that it takes away too much of the caregiver's life. They usually quit their jobs, or they go on for very long leaves, and they have to spend so much money for their loved ones, so that they can have some functionality in their lives. Even to get them to the toilet can require quite a lot of money for them, which is quite distressing anyways. So I knew about those things from my practice, but it changed my perspective in a way that I didn't really think about these findings of neuroscience in that area of my profession, or of healthcare generally, because yeah, I heard about them, I learned about them, I read about them. I'm quite interested in neuroscience, but I'm not in the stage of thinking about neuroscience in every situation in my life. So it really opened up a new horizon for me, and it was quite interesting. It was a very good read, actually. I'm going to check the original name and put it in the description below. But then, after that book, I started to read Freud, and especially his uh, writings about Nazism. I think that's how he wrote them. Anyways, and as I was reading them, one of my psychologist friends suggested them to me to read, because I was quite hungry to read about some like theoretical stuff, and she suggested me those. And as I was reading them, this thing dawned. It didn't. Oh, can you say dawn on me? You can. This idea dawned on me that when you read Freud from a neuroscientific perspective, I don't know if that's a word, but anyways, if you read it through that lens, through the lens of neuroscience, you realize that he kind of understood how mirroring, how social structure worked in a way, or at least he inspected it, he examined it, he realized it somehow, which is quite interesting, I think, because he didn't have anyone tell him that those things were happening. He didn't have MRI scans. He couldn't look in the brain and understand how it worked. If he looked at them, I think he probably have, from my knowing. Anyways, regardless, if he looked at it, he would see just a pile of meat in front of him, so he wouldn't understand how it worked and how these connections and neural pathways worked. So it's quite interesting that he kind of understood this social structure. And even though we give him so much criticism for making way too many like these sexual correlations, or at least in my circle, from the people that I know, or if you think about Freud, like if you think about his public reputation, he's known as the guy who defined hysteria and how it is correlated to female masturbation. And when you think about those things, yes, he understood those things, but he put them in a very sexual way, which is interesting, which is thought-provoking as well. But if you think about it as well, so see, what I realized is that I think Freud figured out some things about how these neural pathways worked in 19th century somehow. I think there is a reason for that, and I'm going to get into that. But anyways, I'm just rambling. So he somehow figured out these neural pathways, and he examined human behavior through these findings, how we just mirror and reflect things onto each other, and that's how we create realities, and that's how everyone's reality is different from one another. And in his regard, most of those realities are involving sexual stuff, and which is quite interesting, and we could talk about that. But if you think a little deeper, you will realize he was living in 19th century, and in 19th century the society was structured in this very strict way. Even the enlightened people were having these very strict public rules, and they were sticking by, or at least they were trying to. So he commented on those public affairs and public structures through the lens of neuroscience somehow, because he could see that when he examined patients, when he took patients, when he worked with his patients, he realized those findings, he realized those things were happening in their behaviors with one another, and he put those findings with the societal structure of that time. And why I think he had that kind of like out of age, like this very visionary understanding of human behavior, is because he was from Austria, actually, like modern day Czechia, but Czech Republic, but he was from Austria, and he was from a German part of Austria, and that part that he lived in Europe went through reform, religious reform, and because of that, he saw these very strict societal structures go through change a couple of times. Because I think I've just done research on one thing before this video, and it was his birthplace, and it apparently was one of the first places that had religious reform, even before Martin Luther, which is very interesting. So because of that, he had like way of seeing life and people, because of his upbringing and because of his environment, which also led him to examine the relationship between religion and people. Because even though he was in a Protestant part of Europe, he was aware of the I'm assuming he was aware of the power struggles of Europe in that time, which involved Catholics and Protestants and other power struggles. But anyways, those are besides the point. The societal power structure, which were Protestants and Catholics, which were defined many times, were very different in their societal ways. So because of that, he had this kind of innate way of seeing humans, because of his upbringing and environment, which led him to see these patterns of people repeating what they see what they see from other people in their lives. And that led him to create his theories around human behavior. But because they were based on 19th century societal structure, they were quite strict and very controversial. Because if you research the 19th century, it was quite controversial, because they had very interesting beliefs about the world, the humans, the life that we have, about the universe, all that kind of stuff. It was a very mismatch chapter of human civilization. So because of that, I think it's kind of understandable why his theories were very controversial, and why it is still very controversial, because those societal structures changed. They went through very deep change, and it was a time of very deep change as well. The societal structure was changing quite a lot, and it was changing very frequently. It wasn't the stable societal structure in that time. It went through these very harsh turbulences and these very harsh situations that threw people off all around. And because of that, his theories were kind of all over the place, but structured somehow in a way. And that's why maybe he could just base all his theories on just sexuality, because that was the only thing that didn't change in that time, which is quite interesting. So yeah, I kind of understood Freud a little more today because of this incident. I'm sure that some other people have realized this as well, I just wanted to share this with some other people. I hope you found this interesting. If you have any thoughts about this, you can leave them down in the comments below, and maybe I will be back on this channel again. We will see about that. So yeah, that's it for this week. This is all I wanted to talk about. If you liked it, press the like button. You can subscribe. I might be back on this channel a little more. I don't know, I'm quite inspired these days. Like this last month, I have been quite inspired, and I have been doing a lot of research, which is not seen very frequently of me because like many of my first videos were not very researched, but these were. I'm not doing specific research, but I don't know, I'm reading a lot more. I'm doing a lot of research on my own time, not for videos, but because I do those research, they make me think, and they make me come up with these kind of ideas. So yeah, that's it for today, for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope I'll see you soon. Bye.